Hey, everybody, it's Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc, and it is Friday, January the 21st, and you are live with me. Or if you're watching this later on, you were watching me on replay. But if you're joining in live, do me a favor and type in where you're joining me from around the world. Always nice to have you here. Our last live one, we had several thousand from both the LinkedIn and Facebook communities. And today I'm also joining both to see what you're thinking. So the thing that propelled me to do this was the news yesterday about Peloton. And if you follow me on LinkedIn, then you probably saw this post I put up yesterday talking about they were halting production, and I have 24,000 views of that. So I thought, well, maybe there's something here to talk about. So just a quick history. Peloton is the stationary bike that had the screen, and then you would work out with a trainer virtually. Hey, Lauren, glad you're here this morning. Again, those of you who are joining in, do me a favor, give me some thumbs up, type in where you're from, because the algorithms only reward people who are engaged, not people who are just sitting there not typing. So please type. Let me know you're out there. Hey, good morning, Kathy. So they debuted, they went public. They were 160, I think, plus a share. Because they were riding the pandemic wave, right? It was amazing. And demand was so strong, people were having to wait months to be able to get one. And then they bought Precor to try to get the manufacturing side going well. And then they had some safety issues, so they had to start recalling some things. And then they were on the reboot of Sex and the City, and just like that. And on the opening episode, spoiler alert, but I'm sure it's all over the media, you had to see it, that Carrie's husband, I guess, says he'll see her later after he's going to do his Peloton, and she comes home and he's died because of a Peloton, basically. And so people are like, "Oh my gosh, who saw that coming?" And all the stock dripped from that. And then the Ryan Reynolds marketing company came out with a very smart ad where Chris North, the actor, kind of made fun of the situation, and that got a lot of buzz. And then like 2 days later, he had allegations and all sorts of things. So Peloton's had a tough time, right? We get that. But now they're stopping production because their demand has waned so clearly. And I had to laugh. There was a guy who commented on my post here the other day, and he said, "What happened? Wasn't Peloton supposed to put me out of business?" He said, "Jim, and what do you mean the demand for its connected fitness equipment faced a significant reduction? Are you serious? People went back to gyms? Who could have predicted the overplayed digital agenda?" It's like, well, that's kind of it. What we've run into with brick and mortar stores for so long, right? Everyone will be buying online. It's 90% online, and it's still, even through a pandemic, is 20% online. Anyway, let's say hi to some of you people before I give you some of my thoughts. Hey, Stu, glad you're there from Maine. Oh, cold up in Maine, I'm sure. Sandra, glad to see you this morning. Guillermo Brockton, all right, great, from the Ukraine. All right, excellent. Nigeria, Loring, they have too many units on the water and storage. Competition in the marketplace as well. This is probably a correction. I have to show that, Loring. This is the connection that they were going to eventually have. Well, I think that's certainly true. But I would say that the reason I decided to get on here is because you build demand, but you can't ride a trend. Now, what does that mean? Your stores have to be able to come up and get people's demand up. They see something, they try it, they feel it, they put it on, any number of things. But if you have been riding a trend, so last year, sewing retailers, right? Everyone wanted to make a mask, sold a ton of sewing machines. Bicycle retailers, it was put your head down. We don't have enough product. Oh my gosh, just try to get enough people in and out of the door, right? And unbelievable sales. And if you're in the home goods basis or home furnishings or kitchens or any of that kind of stuff, you probably had an amazing year. But the question that the Peloton situation brings up is, how much business did you pull forward? In other words, future purchases people might make along the way into a very compressed time zone. And if that's what you've done, and you've put all of these, you've gone through and stopped canceling orders, and you're just saying, if I can just get enough product, at some point, demand is going to do the same thing to you probably. And either you are going to find ways to continue that demand, right? Because one of the challenges that Peloton people found out was they could get a stationary bike, get a iPad and get something similar, and they didn't like having expensive equipment and these expensive subscription. So other alternatives have come in, and cheaper people have come into the marketplace. So it's like, why do I need the premium? Well, if you can't articulate it, then you probably have been able to get sales in spite of yourself. How many think that's true? Has anybody ever seen an employee who actually sold something almost in spite of themselves? We've all seen it, right? And the challenge with that is if there's no foundation underneath you to be able to sell what you have out there and actually nurture demand, and you've just been able to get a wave of new customers, then the day of reckoning may be coming for you too. And that's why I've worked so hard to develop a retail sales training platform where you can go through and whoever comes in the door, increase your conversions so that the people who come in with some interest actually hear all the reasons why it's good for them. You've connected the dots, you've gotten rid of their question marks, and you've been able to frame it such a way that you can succeed with this instead of just hoping someone's going to walk in and go, do you have that $1,500 bike? Right? Do you have that $30,000 bike? Do you have that $30,000 sewing machine? And realize you're going to have to do better than ever at converting people who walk in the door from comparing and contrasting to actually taking it home. And that's why I would encourage you to sign up for Sales X, my online training program. Why do I talk about it so much? Because major brands realized a long time ago that if they didn't connect with a customer in a new way, with a more wary public right now, that the chances are they were going to see something where demand dropped. And that's what we're going to start seeing here. But mark my words, it's not going to just be Peloton. That's where I'm going. Guillermo, I got laid off from Peloton last year. Well, I imagine there's several more. There's rumors it's going to be a lot more than that. Hey, glad you're here, Sugi from McAllen, Texas. But make no mistake, as we go through this year, things are still going to be up and down. We're going to have COVID variants. We're going to have all kinds of noise around the issue. But make no mistake, the only thing you control is your four walls. And your four walls have got to be able to deliver on that expectation. If I go out of my way to come to your store, I better have an amazing experience. And amazing means I will rave about it to somebody who doesn't even ask about it, right? Otherwise, you are probably just waiting for someone to walk in on that day when someone says, oh, do you have this blue square? And they're like, oh, I have it right over here. That's not selling. That's clerking and that's warehousing. And that's very different than what has to happen in most retail stores these days. When a wary public is coming in, they want to connect with people. They want to feel something. They want to get dressed up. They want to get the guy. They want to get the girl. They just had a kid. You name it. And they're looking for someone to treat them for those 3 or 4 minutes like they're the most important person in the world. If you can't do that, then I think you are really at risk of being showroomed and having all kinds of competitors clean your clock, because there's always somebody cheaper either online or down the way. Lori, exactly. So if you have any questions for me, I will certainly answer them. If you feel like, do you feel like you are prepared for demand to start curving a little bit? We'd all, a lot of brands had hockey sticks last year. It was like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. And then everybody took off. And as the supply chain comes around, we're expecting in 2022, it'll get better, but it's far from fixed. The number one thing you're going to have to focus on is creating that demand, that desire in that customer, giving them confidence and giving them the ability to take it with them today instead of, oh, wait, or worse, your employees who are actually underselling you. I think I've told this story before, but I needed to get a new external drive for my computer, and I was in the Apple store and I had to get something, and I go, oh, by the way, I need an external drive, and the girl goes, well, don't buy it from us. And she went over to a computer and she typed it in from a competitor. It's $150 cheaper with these guys. I was like, oh, how many times do your employees sell from their own wallets? Well, if you don't have a foundation of selling underneath it, of selling the products, and you've really just been clerking it, most of your employees can't afford the better things in your store. And they're probably going to start at the bottom and then say, this is good enough. You don't need all that stuff, which is kind of what Peloton's suddenly going through. So just be aware that the story of Peloton could be a canary in the mine, as they used to say. It's a harbinger for other brands. There's a lot of missteps that they did, but by and large, they were riding a trend. And if you've been riding a trend, then you need to realize that you're going to have to get more out of the people that do walk in the door. And how are you going to do that? And just saying we're going to try harder isn't going to do it unless you've got a process where you engage a stranger, discover the shopper, build trust, compare and contrast, and know how to get the sale. You might be friendly, but you also might be showrooming for somebody else who's a few dollars less and worse that your own employees know about. So I hope that helps. Again, look at what's going on in the world. Don't get scared by it. But remember, the only thing you control is your four walls. And if you want a partner to help you do that, certainly check out salesrx.com. If you're looking for someone who believes in brick and mortar retail, well, then why don't you check out retaildoc.com and find out more about me? How's that? Oh, wait, Susan has a long thing here that she's put up there. I'm a custom framer for 45 years. I love my customers. They come in, they dress for me. They enjoy my time. Our supply chain is getting harder. That's long, and that's right. Don't complain. They're at my store for a service and a great day. Be creative. I love that. That's great, Susan. I love that. And what's this question? Would you have a slightly different view idea for car sales? Car sales, number one thing that I find with car sales is too many salespeople go through and they sell from their own wallets as well. I bought a Q8, an Audi, and I remember the sales guy, I said, do you have the Q8? He goes, oh, we've got a couple in the back, but most people don't buy them. They get the Q7. It's like, well, I want to see a Q8. So then I said, do you have it with this and this? He goes, well, no, those are the really, you don't really need that. I go, I didn't ask if I needed it. Do you have it with that? Well, I might be able to get one. And I just kept thinking there, like, dude, do you realize how many times you put on the brakes on the car sales? Your job and the job of anyone in retail is to get a customer to say yes. So you don't add your own personal, oh, it's not worth it, or you don't need that. Your question is, how high is up? And too many retailers are employing people who don't understand that. They don't like to sell. They don't like to be able to serve a customer, and they don't actually enjoy the purchase when someone makes it, even if they can't afford it. And so it makes it tougher. So I would say to you is to make sure that you go through and you are the one who is keeping up and keeping it interesting. And I'm a big believer in Podium. I use Podium on my site. So if somebody does get on your car dealership, you can go through and say, hey, why don't you let me send you a couple of specs about it, and they can actually buy the car from you when they walk out the door instead of that lame, here's my card. There's so many opportunities we have to actually connect the great job you can do on the sales floor with bringing them back in. I don't know why everybody's not doing it, but you know what? A lot of people are happy being miserable and they don't want to change. And it's like people who don't take retail sales training seriously. It's not a once and done. It's something we do all the time. And if you look at the big companies, you look at Walmart, is it a mystery that 2 or 3 years ago, they built 100 training centers around the US and what they were ready for when the pandemic hit? Whether you like them or not, I don't care. It has nothing to do with it. But if they understood the importance of training, why is it so many boutiques and specialty retailers somehow think that their merchandise is going to be able to do the job? It doesn't. Until you touch somebody's heart and make them feel like they want to trust you, your merch is just vying for somebody's deal of the day or about to be co-opted on somebody's smartphone. All right, Greg, I just answered your question. That's good. Loring, how long is the Sales RX program for my staff? Well, Loring, the Sales RX basically is about 4 months at a minimum in the core, and then the advanced is another 2 or 3. You can stop at any time. There is no early penalty, but we take your managers, whoever is in charge, for 3 weeks, really get them to understand all that we're teaching the associates and then teaching them how to be great managers. And then you have a kickoff meeting, and then comes the associates. They work at a much slower level, just a couple of lessons a week. And then the next week you do mock sessions, which makes sure that you know that they know what they're supposed to do. And they make it an easy way so that it's fun and it's unique to you. And that blended learning is what gives our customers, I think it was 83%, a double-digit increase within 6 months. 6 months. But unless you are 100% committed, then maybe this isn't for you, because it isn't something you'll try, like dip your foot in. You just have to do it 100%. And then you find that, wow, that was pretty easy because we've done all the hard work. What do I train? How do I make it short? How do I make it interesting and interactive? The only part you have to do is schedule them and then do those quick little mock sessions, which we have a whole playbook about what you do with those as well. So there you go. Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. Make your customers feel comfortable. There you go. I think that's it. With that in mind, again, take a look at salesrx.com and remember it's all about your four walls. What are you doing today to make that customer a raving fan? If you don't know, then there's no way to do it. Be creative and be real and realize that the customers are coming to you. It's your sale to lose. Otherwise, you end up with demand peaking and news stories like we started with today. I'm Bob Vibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me today.